She got delays and roadblocks, the stress of the situation, and the worry about the next fire, both for those who went through the Marshall Fire and those who fought it.
Used to be that come October, November, we could relax our wildland firefighting stance a little bit because wildland season was over. Now it seems like we've moved into a model where wildland season can be 12 months long.
Year-round fire danger in our state and not enough firefighters. That is the reality in Colorado, where we rely heavily on volunteers to protect us. Our Anusha Roy looks into a growing problem.
We're dealing with high fire danger today.
A fire on a day like today would be hard enough to stop with enough people.
What's that going to look like if you have 4 responders and 2 trucks on a day like today? You're going to lose communities.
That's what's at stake in Colorado. As much as 80% of the state's firefighters are volunteers.
It's just life. We're all volunteers.
Including in Hugo, just outside of Lyman.
I mean, she's the local veterinarian. Our grocery store owners are on the department.
The chief is also a contractor and rancher, and the Hugo volunteers who responded to the Cameron Peak fire all have other jobs.
One of them was a maintenance employee for the town of Hugo, and then 3 of them were ranchers.
These are volunteers Colorado relies on during an emergency, but retention and recruitment are huge problems, one that's only been getting worse over the last 30 years.
That's a complex issue, a very complex issue.
Many people in our society want to be volunteers, but don't have that kind of commitment to do even the initial training.
A lot of it is busy schedules. People have 2 or 3 jobs. They have families.
Firefighting today is much more complicated.
Gary Breeds with the Colorado State Fire Chief says construction materials are different these days. When a home burns, it's changing the toxicity of the smoke. And that's making some volunteers think twice about signing up.
I'm not sure I want to intentionally expose myself to those kinds of toxins.
With wildfires year-round and not enough people, Breeze says every week in parts of rural Colorado, dispatch will call the closest volunteer department, but there won't be anyone to respond. They wait a few minutes and then call the next closest department and sometimes have to search through 3 or 4 agencies, spending as much as 30 minutes before finding someone to respond to an active emergency.
We're going to see communities crumble. We're going to see life safety become an issue.
So Hugo's Fire Protection District has a budget of $100,000 every year. They're covering around 500 square miles in Lincoln County, and they're actually considering themselves lucky because all around them they're surrounded by other fire agencies that have a tenth of the budget. Kyle, we're talking about $10,000 a year that's raised through pancake breakfast, chili cook-offs, just so they've got the money to respond when someone calls for help. The state is trying to help with training and reimbursements and some resources, but obviously it's not filling the need at this point.
And you know, I think that volunteer model is a really familiar model to all of us who grew up in rural areas, and it's fine unless you have population explosions in pockets and you have calls for wildfires all the time.
Yeah, so, you know, a while ago when the calls were a lot less frequent, you know, people were able to organize locally. They were able to respond, but then we have more people in the state now. We're getting more 911 calls, and the volunteer departments are saying it's just getting harder and harder for them to keep up.
Have to acknowledge what we are asking of our neighbors. Anusha, thank you.